welcome to Education Station. What are we, like episode 6 or something, I think? Yeah, we're rocking it, trying to make sure that we provide good education for everybody along the way. Advisors beware, we might come up with something just handy for you. All right, so we're going to talk about 3 stations today, right? Basically client review, portfolio review, and business review. But before we dive in, it's always good to hit a couple of announcements along the way. And I'll make this brief. But we have recently added a few, not just one, but a few new tape distribution opportunities. So we are trying really hard to come out and be where you, the advisors, are. So Amplify is a cool, relatively new, small RIA TAMP that has some really sweet technology, and we're excited to work with that team. We've already got assets building there, and we look forward to maybe making some referrals there as well. The second one is FMAX, right? Fidelity, now a larger firm with a newer TAMP, is up and running, and we are working on some of those things to get those details in place. The big news of the day, team, of course, we hinted about it last time, Shelly did, but that hint has now come to fruition. That is OPS, Orion Portfolio Solutions. We are now up, running, live, and available there. So I know we just did a podcast with Eric Clark and last week, and we want to make sure that we let everybody know that we are available. So let's move on. Right? It is summertime, and everything slows down in the summertime, doesn't it, folks? Are you slow? Are you feeling slow? Yeah. Well, theoretically. So let's preempt this, right? With theoretically, everything slows down in the summertime. But here's the deal. It's always good to take a breath, right? Slow down and think about your clients, your business, your portfolios. There's 3 things. So we want to make sure that we do that. And so Chase, you're going to touch a little bit in the first station. We're going to have a little chat about client reviews and what's valuable there, why you should be thinking about that halfway through the year. Dive in, buddy. Take us on a trip.
Yeah, it's great to know that your schedule over there is slowing down. Mine is just jam-packed with the weekends. My wife has 70-some cousins, so it's always a shower, it's always a wedding, it's always an event. So I'm happy you're having a nice time over there. But yeah, I mean, I think client reviews I've had a pretty unique experience. Working in an advisor's office, that was kind of my first gig when I was in college and just out of college. So that was obviously a pretty big part of my responsibilities, running those meetings, assisting with those meetings and prepping for those meetings. And I think the biggest thing I found aware is that performance doesn't come up a lot. And I was kind of taken back by that because that was the longest time I had to prep for these. But if you take a step back, I mean, that's probably for the best. And that's for several reasons. But, and that's just to kind of tie this back into, we're all aware of what's going on year to date. It's never fun, but it just makes it that much more important to reach out to your clients to, not necessarily talk about performance, just to make sure that they're okay. I did come across a pretty interesting stat that 77% of, just individuals out there are kind of worried about or anxious about their financial situation. So, we can't be naive enough to think that your clients are only in the 23%. So just kind of reach out and just touch base and just make sure that their goals are still in line, their risk tolerance in line. I love the quote, everyone has a game plan until you get hit in the mouth. Let's say that this market pullback was too much for them. Well, this is a great time to sit down and have a conversation. So I mean, is that coming up a lot in your area, Jeff, as far as these meetings? Or Shelly, have you guys heard a lot of advisors just, reach out? Maybe there's only, for instance, maybe it's only a yearly review, but they turn into 2 or 3 times a year just because of this situation that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, Shelly, go for it.
You want me to take it? Well, I think the perfect analysis of that, Chase, is a conversation Jeff and I had this morning and with an advisor. And it's not a matter of how frequent the conversations are coming up as much as it is how much detail some of these clients want. Some of them don't want the details, right? They just want to know, look, am I going to be okay? Some of them want to go into full-on analysis explanation, and it's up to the advisor, obviously, to know these different personality types and kind of pivot.
That's why you don't want to have an engineer for a client. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. We love engineers. It's quite all right. We're a quant shop, but
Love
Yeah.
the
I
engineers.
mean, going back to when I was working for an advisor, when I had that conversation, he's like, I hate to break it to you, Chase. I never use this stuff, but just in this cases that I need to pull it out, we have it and we've done our, due diligence, made sure they're in a good position. But I was like, man, like, what are you paying me for then? Because I'm spending an awful lot of my time on these, folders I had to get ready, all these pages I was printing out. But now, that's how, I was stuck in the golden ages is having to print out everything versus just getting everything ready, pulled up on our website or something like that. So
Now,
it's
Chase,
pretty,
I will
yeah.
say, I'll tell you what I'll reiterate what I tell my girls, and that's it's better to have it and not need it than
Mhm.
need it and not have it. So
Absolutely.
preparation
No,
is always a good thing.
totally agree with that. And I think that's one thing I'd probably, in my college years or high school years, I could have listened to it back then, but I've definitely, grasped that. Uh, yeah, I mean, that's a great point as far as over preparing. So, like, you obviously do want to look at your portfolios and your models. So, Jeff, sticking to this theme about reviews, how does that look as far as what an advisor should be doing? Kind of progressing along with just reviewing and making sure you're staying on top of things.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Portfolio reviews. It's almost like there is no magic answer to, well, should I review annually? Should I review quarterly? Should I review semi-annually? Right? It kind of depends on your business. But what I like to do is June, July is kind of a good time, I think, to pause and take a look. Now, for all clarity, we're not going to do a deep dive on portfolio reviews from the standpoint of we have another podcast, which we'll put in the show notes of the firm structure, the firm CPR, right? The firm structure, communication, program design, and returns, the process we use. So that's sort of separate. What I'm referring to now in portfolio review is really, it's a chance to take that pause and say, okay, where are we now? So we're halfway through the year. Are the strategists, I mean, just the simple thing, from a performance level, sure. Are they doing kind of what you expect? Are they within range? Well, that's fine. That's kind of an easy one to take a look at. And you probably already know, because if they suck, you're getting a couple of phone calls. But still, it's good to take stock of that. But this time of year is great because annual ADVs came out typically in March, April for most companies. And so there are updates there. You now have at least one. If you wait until, kind of mid-July, you'll get most of the new fact sheets for the second quarter. There are some things that I think are really valuable from an audit standpoint. That's not something we talk about a lot, but you as a business owner have a responsibility, and the SEC can ask, show us what you've done to monitor the managers that you're making for recommendations. So you use for recommendations, right? So do you keep track of those fact sheets? Do you have some sort of an archive or access to the old ones? Do you have those ADVs? Any marketing information that came out you think is valuable, or they gave you a notice, an email or something about a portfolio manager change, somebody got promoted or somebody left. Those are all things that are really valuable to keep in order. But in the middle of your day, that's not what you need to be wasting your time on. So take a couple of days in the middle of summer when it slows down a little bit, and yeah, it never really happens, right? But take time to look at that and make sure that you're documenting those things. Anything that the two of you have on that kind of on that list in a portfolio review standpoint? No. Okay, let
Bueller,
me throw.
Bueller. I was
We both
waiting
had
on
Go
Chase
ahead.
to say something.
I know we both broke the golden rule. Instead of just prompting one person, we both had an open-ended question. I named you guys both, and you didn't name anyone. So maybe,
I
Shelley, you can do a
know.
little bit better in your segment.
Okay, but follow this. When you named us both, or when you called on us both, I said, Shelly, go ahead.
Yes.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
I was
See,
going to put Shelley in the
it's not.
spot because I was struggling a little bit on my end.
That's
But
okay.
no,
That's okay.
that is super interesting as far as the timing. It just seems I'm kind of double-ended right now just because given the year-to-date performance as well as, it's middle of the year. But yeah, that's a great thing to note is, always keeping those ADVs in line, making sure you have access to them. I think I've had a couple conversations recent that they're like, Insight by Potomac aside, but they even said like, you guys kind of opened my eye as wow, my document storage needs some work. And I never really took the time to really think about. We always complain about our server being such a mess, but it's important just to have kind of over prepare, log things more, I know. Can't wait till Manish hears that. He's just gonna say,
Spilling the
"I know."
beans,
Yeah.
airing the dirty
Yeah.
laundry.
Yeah. No, but no, that's 100% though. There are things, and yes, we have Insight by Potomac, but not every advisor who's watching our podcast, is actually doing business with us. And that's fine. So we're just trying to give you some tips, things to be aware of, things that you can do that just have a place to go get those. Because what most companies do, to be frank, is they maybe have a website where they post their fact sheets, right? And then they turn around and overwrite those, or they remove the old ones and put the new ones up. So when the SEC or your broker dealer or somebody else comes in and says, "Hey, what do you have from last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago?" You don't have any way to go to it, other than calling each company one by one, and that's a pain in the ass. So anyway, this is how we review the businesses that you partner with. A few tips. How do you review your own business? Shelly, you are the queen bee. Station 3.
Well, I love everything business planning, P&L review.
Mhm.
So this is the part where I can really geek out, but I'll spare I'll spare you of the details. But I think it's important, to the point we made earlier. We've got summertime approaching. Hopefully, your clients are heading on vacation, and hopefully, you're heading on vacation because it is good for you to take time away as well. Exactly. But, let's kind of take a moment and hopefully your books and records are all updated and you can run a quick P&L because let's face it, if your revenue is attached to AUM fees, they're probably going to be impacted this year to date. And
Good word
so
choice. I like that.
I was being very, you can see my
Impacted.
eyes searching, right? I was being very careful with that word, impacted. And, we're no different, right? We are an advisory based business. So it's important for advisors to take a look there. Jeff, I
Yeah,
saw you.
I know. I want to add this, and I've said this for years, and it's funny because most advisors, when I say it, suddenly go, "Oh shit, I hadn't thought about that." But to your point, right? We talk about adding risk management to clients, right? Bringing that to bear for them to keep them engaged, make it a better ride, and so forth. If all of your clients go down 40% in a max drawdown event, guess what happened to your revenue? Went down 40%. So it's not that you're trying to build the business in a way that is better than for the clients. No, no, no. It needs to go hand in hand by you taking care of the clients and helping to minimize that ugly part of the equation for investing. You've now just helped your business model. So
Yeah, exactly. And you think there's two sides of the equation, right? There's the revenue side and the expense side. Well, in majority of cases, your expenses are going to be fixed. You still have to pay your staff. You still maybe have to pay for office space. You've got subscriptions, whether it's your financial planning software or Spotify or whatever the case may
Oh,
be.
those add up
Um,
for sure.
well, I mean, think about it. If you've got multiple different streaming services for your lobby TV, do you really need all of them? I don't know. I remember, I will say, there was one advisor office that I went into one time, and all they played was HGTV, and I was like,
Mm.
this is probably a much more welcoming." No, 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 it was
Oh,
welcoming
I like that
environment.
idea.
What clients probably
Yeah,
wanna walk in and see CNBC and all the things that
yeah.
they want, like,
no,
calm.
Middle of the road, I
no.
like it.
So I vote for Chive TV. I want to see people like crash and burn. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh,
I'll off podcast conversation, you can
yes, there
enlighten
you go.
me. But essentially, take a look at those revenues and expenses, and I guarantee that for a majority of the advisors out there, they probably don't have 100% of the client's assets, at least across the board. So is there a service opportunity to the clients to maybe see, hey, maybe they're dissatisfied with another advisor in this process, and it's an opportunity for you to garner net new assets? What communications are you doing? What marketing are you doing to get your name out there in visibility? So just use these summer months as a way to say, okay, where am I so far? How do I want to, finish out the year? And what are the pieces that I'm going to need in order to make that happen? Now, the other thing, you have to think about your resources, right? You've got human capital for the most part. Most advisors have an assistant or a team. Check in with your team. How are they doing? Is there anything they need to be more successful? Are there staffing gaps that you have currently? And what will make it easier for you to, as I said in the very beginning, right, take that time away? So Don't get derailed on your business. See, I even flew in a little derailed there. You like that?
Nice.
On the fly.
Well done.
Don't get derailed in your business. Make sure that everything's flowing. And, just a check-in is not meaning you need to upturn the apple cart. It's just, what do you need and where do you need to go? So that's
Perfect.
all I got on the
Yeah.
business side.
I was just
Did
going to
you have
say,
something else?
sometimes I was going to steal this because you mentioned it in the planning, but sometimes you need to be not working in it, but working on the business. And I know
Yep.
we've thrown that quote around a little bit, but I think that sums it up pretty well. And I couldn't agree more. It's always important to keep one eye on, day-to-day operations, but also another on like the overall arcing operations.
And Chase, I'm going to steal something from you. Golly, if I can get it right. Do what you do
I'm
best
nervous
and
now.
write a check for the rest.
Yep.
Woo!
I learned that
All
from my
right.
father-in-law, and he just writes a lot of checks, but
Well, on that note, I know we've run a little bit long, but that's okay. We're having some fun. We're trying to engage, provide engaging content for all advisors that may be helpful as you run your business, which is what we started with, right? How do we run our business and see if we can't help out? So on that note, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. We love it when people hit the ringy bell dingy thingy, and make sure that you get notifications on our podcast. That said, Shelly, send us out of here with a little.
How about a little OG choo choo? We out.
All right. There we go.
so you guys.
Peace.